Hey everyone, welcome to Retro Resale, where I buy stuff to satisfy my hoarding addiction, and then I try to justify it financially later. Today is the VIC20 episode. Yes, lots of VIC20 stuff, and a local pickup at that. I picked up a massive giant pile of everything related to VIC20s, you won't want to miss it. And in the bonus footage at the end, I'll show you what it's like to load VIC20 games off of tape. I mean, how exciting could things possibly get? The VIC20 was my first computer, actually, not because I wanted one, but because my parents bought me the wrong computer. The deal was that if I saved up $100 to contribute, then they would pay the rest and get me a Commodore 64 for Christmas. But when I got up early on Christmas morning and opened my present, expecting to finally have a Commodore 64 like all my friends, I was horrified to see a VIC20 box. So yeah, I was stuck with a crappy VIC20 for a whole year before I could save up more and get a 64. It sucked, but at least I had a computer finally. The VIC20 was relatively inferior, but it does have its own goofy aesthetic that a lot of people grew to love. Sometimes it's the constraints of the technology that define the aesthetic, after all. I mean, that's what retro is all about, really. There's so much weirdness to be attracted to. The VIC20 was probably the only computer so crappy as to have a 20-column display. I was stuck using it on a horrible 5-inch television from the 70s, and the VIC20 was actually a perfect match because if the text had been any smaller, it absolutely wouldn't have been readable. In fact, the next year when I finally got a 64, my parents had to buy me a 1702 monitor because the TV clearly wasn't working. That year I had my VIC20, I had no disk drive or even a tape drive. This is how bad it was. I had no way of saving programs I wrote or typed in. I bought a super low-end 1520 printer plotter for $40, and when I wrote a program I wanted to save, I printed it out so I could type it in again later. Anyway, as it happens sometimes, I was browsing Craigslist, and I really need to stop looking at Craigslist and especially Marketplace, because without fail I find something. Clearly the way to not find something is to not look. But I did look, and I came across this, a VIC20 Lot for $150, and hey, it's only 10 miles away. Sometimes the good deals are 2 states away, in which I can sigh with relief because a long drive is impractical, and that lets me off the hook. But not this time. 10 miles gives me no excuse. First impressions, well, with these horrible pictures, you never can tell exactly what's included. I've never really understood why don't they type out an index. Is it one computer? Is it several? VIC20s don't sell for much, like $80 for a working one with a charger. So if there's only one, then we're depending on the value of everything else, which is actually pretty substantial. A big collection of cartridges can sell for $100. There are also some rare and valuable cartridges out there, not VIC20 especially, but many MSX cartridges, for example, are in the hundreds, and if you get one of those, the whole deal is suddenly profitable. In this lot, the Mountain King cartridge caught my eye, and I did find one that sold on eBay for $75, but it's in box and in great shape. This listing has a really attractive mystery lot feel to it. It's funny, I teach people that when they sell, they should give people the feeling of a package deal so that the value is intangible and they go off emotion rather than logic. Have you seen those camera packages on eBay? They come with the camera plus like 20 items. The whole point is you can't compute the value, and like I said, you run off emotion instead, and therefore you spend too much money. And yeah, this lot is having that same effect on me, unfortunately. So many small, interesting items that I just kind of want it, Alright, heading out to go get the VIC20. So, little ways away, but not too far. Alright, heading home. Worked out really well. The guy was super nice. We talked for like 20 minutes. Got his whole, life story, and he's just cleaning out a garage, basically. I think it's his parents' garage. But yeah, really great experience, and that's what I love about Craigslist. You get to meet a person, you see into their world, have a nice conversation. They probably need money, so they're getting a little bit of money from you, and I'm getting a nice retro computer setup. So it's just all in all positive. I always say, if in doubt about whether to do some kind of interaction or transaction, just err on the side of doing it, because 99% of the time it ends up being a positive. I'm back, and here we have 4 boxes of VIC20 stuff that I paid $150 for. Really a lot of material to go through. I'm pretty impressed with it. Frozen meatballs. Sorry, got distracted. All right, opening up the first box, which wasn't really sealed. We have a C2N cassette unit, or data set unit as they're often called. Won't open that up all the way right now, but it looks very nice. And we have two VIC20s, both a nice shade of yellow. I can already see this is the newest version of VIC20 with the colored logo, with the colored badge. And this is a slightly older version with the silver goldish badge. Obviously this is missing a few keys. That's no problem. I have some donor boards. This one is a much newer serial number, as you can see. 377,000 versus 1.2 million. These are not pet keys VIC20s. They don't have the squashed retro type that the very early VIC20s had. Commodore actually used pet keyboards in some of the earliest VIC20s, and those are very desirable. So these are not those, but that's okay. Putting those aside, we're on to box number 2. A very nice retail box. Happy to have an original box. This box is very heavy. I can tell by the weight that there's some additional items in here, and there certainly are. And then this is strange. Wow, it's like a bronze color. It's this badge, but it's like bronze. And in here we've got a bunch of stuff. Couple joysticks. These are odd joysticks. It's almost like they're meant to be planted, like with a suction cup on a desk or something. And we have a power supply that is pretty bulging on the bottom, as you can see. Yeah, this is the DIN, the round DIN socket. VIC20s have two different connectors. The newer models have this round DIN connector, and then the older models have this 2-pin rectangular connector. All right, so we'll take this guy out of here. Oh, we have more stuff below. So this is serial number 1 million something. So it's in between, and it has the round DIN power connector. Got the giant cartridge slot that VIC20s have. You could have 20K in the cartridge, I believe, as opposed to the 3.5K in RAM, which is why so much of the software for the VIC20 came out on cartridge, because you could actually do so much more with that 20K than 3.5K. And here we have a collection of boxes, which I'm actually pretty happy to have. I love the graphics and the print material for old computers, almost as much as I like the computers themselves. It's just interesting to see the aesthetic. Adventureland, that was a great one. I'm actually friends with Scott Adams on Twitter. Draw poker. Super slot. Video vermin. Wow, haven't heard of that. I hope we have the cartridge. Road race. Slither and Super Slither. Okay. Slither has a sequel. And the slick stick. This was one of my favorite joysticks. Very nice little thing that fits in the palm of your hand. And the VIC20 paddle. This looks new. Box number 3 also was never really sealed, just so bulging with material. The VIC20 manual. I remember just learning BASIC from these manuals. VIC games for kids. A lot of old games you can type in there. A real computer for the price of a toy. I just love stuff like this. Like I said, it's just so fun to look at the marketing materials. There's the whole system. People hated that printer. Noisy, slow. Software shows. Probably from a user group. User groups were a big deal back in the day because we didn't have anything on, we didn't have the internet, so it was all about meeting up with people, bringing your computer into a room and everyone sitting around and talking and looking at each other's stuff. Money Wars. How to get more out of your Commodore. Oh, some software you can buy through a mail order software service. Are these Commodore OEM? I don't know. But they're certainly paddles that are suitable for certain games. Rescue at Regal. Wow. Robert Carrier's Menu Planner.
keep a complete, instantly accessible record of who had what with whom and when. Why do you care? Why do you care who ate what with whom and when? I don't know. In the 3.5K that a VIC20 has, why would you want to occupy its mind with that worthless information? So it went from 180 to 90 to 45 cents. I presumably someone went for it at the 45-cent level. And finally, box 4, which is the cartridges. And look at all of these. Fascinating. Mountain King has little horns on the corner. I don't know what the deal is there. Here's Video Vermin. So we do have Video Vermin. I like how they wrote the names on the spine. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I'll have to see if Magic Eraser will take that off. Snack Man? I almost said Snake Man, but it's Snack Man. Lawnmower. Because real lawn mowing isn't enough. You have to do it on your VIC20. Super Slither. We got the Super Slither. And this guy, I believe we have more tapes. Star Command, Alien Panic, Slither, and Super Slither. So many, like, bug destruction related games for the VIC20. I don't get it. Killer Caterpillar. Again, caterpillars, snakes, bugs. What is it, VIC20? And here it all is laid out. I suspect we're doing exceptionally well for $150. All right, it's time for testing. This is a Commodore 1702 monitor. It's the same model monitor that my parents got me for my Commodore 64 that I talked about. It's the best monitor ever. It doesn't have RGB, it's not high res, but the colors are just so vibrant and clear. This is color composite. This is audio in. I have here the 2 power bricks that are usable on various VIC20s. This one takes the round DIN connector, so I will connect that here, and then I will turn it on. And we have glitch art. Not good. Kind of pretty, but not good. Try that again. Yep, glitch art. So this could be a socketed chip on the board that needs to be resocketed, or it could be something worse than that. Hard to say without going inside. But anyway, VIC20, number 1 of 3. Okay, second VIC20. This one has the 2-pin, 2-prong plug, so I will connect that. And it also, I noticed later on, it has a broken key switch. Now let's power this guy on. The power switch is very stiff. Well, shoot, it looks like we're 0 for 2. Not a good record so far. All right, VIC20, 3 of 3. This one has the DIN connector again, and this is the sort of bronze-ish badge. It's very heavy. It's a much heavier computer than the other two. I don't know if it's just earlier and has a more elaborate board, but anyway, let's turn it on. Whoa, it's working. All right, we have that whole 3.5K of RAM, and that's the famous 20-character screen. All right, I typed the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog because that has every key in the alphabet, and wow, I'm impressed. This one seems to be a go. So at least one of the 3 computers is working. That's very good news. So I thought it'd be fun to try out a Mega Race, which was one of my favorite games for the VIC20. And why not try it with the paddles, which are ideal for this game. It has a paddle option. These cartridges are very temperamental. Like, you have to get them in just right. So we'll take paddle number 1, turn it on. Oh, there we are. I haven't seen that in decades. So we have paddle, so we'll choose F3. And there it is. The paddle does not seem to be working. Let's try the slick stick. Ugh, does not seem to be working. Okay, now I'm trying one of these odd joysticks, but it doesn't seem to work either. So I'm starting to worry that maybe the joystick port on this computer is bad. So what I'll do is I'll use a known good joystick. Okay, here's my trusty Wico command control joystick, one of the best joysticks made. This company, Wico, or Wico, some people called it, made a lot of the stand-up arcade joysticks, so it's really good quality. Oh, good. And it does work. There we go. Typically joysticks don't have that bad of a track record, so I'm a little bit puzzled, but I'm happy that the computer is in fact working. So this is kind of a side note, but I got a Penultimate 2 cartridge for the VIC20. It's a modern day cartridge that has everything you could ever want for the VIC20. Here's the back if you want to read it. It's got dozens or hundreds of games. It's got diagnostics, RAM expansion, file utilities, just everything. It's really incredible. It's got a menu button. It's got a reset button there. It was like $100, so not cheap. But honestly, if you've got one of these, you don't really need to mess with mountains of other cartridges or anything else. This is pretty much the whole deal. So we'll try this out briefly. Okay, here's the Penultimate 2 cartridge. I don't know how well you can see the screen, but yeah, you can use a joystick to control it. File browser if you have an SD card connected to the machine or a disk drive. Advanced memory config, exit to basic. It's just got all kinds of stuff. Like I said, you can control the amount of memory that you have and then boot up with that amount of memory. I'll go to the games menu here. Just tons and tons of games. I want to see if we have Super Slither. Robotron. No Super Slither. Oh, we don't have Super Slither. How about Video Vermin? Do we have Video Vermin? No Video Vermin. Well, I mean, there are a lot of games. I mean, there were lots and lots of games for the VIC20. Let's try Load Runner. That was always a good one. Actually, it looks really good. I have to say, this cartridge really makes playing games functional. Definitely recommend the Penultimate 2.
Okay, so enough messing around. What's it all worth? Because here at Retro Resale, while we may pretend to care about technology, it's really all just about money. Well, as you know, the cost was $150 cash. I haven't sold anything yet, so this is all estimated, and as usual, I'm making very conservative estimates because that way you always get good news when you sell. You always make more than expected. The cost, as you know, is $150. The 2 dead VIC-20s, I'm guessing those would go for $60. They really aren't worth much, especially when they have damage. The 1 good VIC-20, I think that should be sold in a package with a joystick, a few games, the power brick, probably a 30-day warranty. Try to create some of that, package appeal that I talked about earlier. And I think that could go safely for $120. The cartridge lot, the common cartridges, there are a lot of them. There are some good ones, but they are mostly common. So I'd say let's sell the common ones all together, and that could easily bring $100. And then there are 2 or 3 in there, Mountain King and a couple others, that are worth a little more. So if you took the time to sell those separately, you could get a little more money, or you could include them with the bigger lot. It really doesn't matter. But I think the 2 or 3 high-value cartridges are worth about $50. And then you have the tape drive and tapes. And not many people are into that kind of thing, but there are a lot of tapes, and it is a nice tape drive in a box. So $40-50 for that. And that brings the total sales to $370. And like I always say, that's a conservative estimate, so you could do much better. Total profit after cost, $220. Not bad at all. Really not bad at all. More than doubled the money. And that's without having repaired anything, too. If you put more time into it, you'll get more out. So I'd say we're in pretty good shape. Of course, it doesn't take into account time or labor or pissing off my wife by hiding away all day making a video. But hey, what are you going to do? Anyway, that's it for now. Stay tuned for some very exciting bonus footage, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, and now it's the moment that everyone has been patiently waiting for. We're going to play Snackman on tape. We're going to load it through the dataset drive, and I've already connected that to the computer. I've booted up with the Penultimate cartridge with 28K because I can. I don't think Snackman requires it, but I will put the tape in the recorder, player, whatever it is. Both. And I will type load, press play on tape, it is loading. So I'll see you in about 20 minutes. So regrettably, Snackman did not load. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if it's a bad tape. But instead, we're going to try Slither. We're going to see if we have better luck with Slither. Okay, here we go. Got Slither loaded. Hit return. Press play on tape. Ready. Huh. Okay. That was very, very quick. Syntax error. Huh. That's odd. Okay, so Super Slither is on the other side of the tape. I'm going to try that. Unfortunately, these kinds of problems were actually very common with tape. Tape is not a reliable medium for data storage, as you might be guessing. So load, press play, and hopefully soon we'll have Super Slither. Found Super Slither, loading. All right, moment of truth. Do we have Super Slither? Yes! Oh, it's by Jim Butterfield. He's a famous Commodore guy who wrote about every third Commodore-related article you've ever seen. Wow. That's cool. Let's see here. Instructions? Okay, so it's a snake game. Oh. I wonder what is super about this. All right. Well, there you have it. That is a game loaded off of tape. Like I said, with the typical problems that you ran into with tape. Sometimes a game would load, and then the next time it wouldn't, or vice versa. And there you are, Super Slither. Success, finally. Magazines. I love magazines. Very cool. Power Play that we saw the ad for earlier. Commodore magazine. I don't know if I have any Commodore magazine. I guess I do now. What is this? F.C. Hayer Company. It's sealed. Well, actually it's cut open on the side, and it's, oh my gosh. Those letters? Blank paper. Okay, so just looking like receipts. Yeah, various receipts and stuff. Nothing too exciting. Ooh, but we have Gore-Tex and the microchips. Wow, look at the size of this. This is huge. I mean, this is easily twice the size of the normal. This is the normal size for a software. This is just massive. Teaching young people to program. This delightful and unique concept in teaching young people to program couples a space adventure story with lessons in basic programming. I don't know, do you really need a space adventure story as you program? But, yeah. Nice book there. And, oh my god. Oh, this is priceless. Oh, I love that. That is amazing. And 2 tapes, so, wow, just wow. And here we have, is this a warranty card? What is this? Looks like a warranty card for a piece of software. Interesting. Oh well, and that concludes box 3.